You there? Hey, what's up?
Hey, bud.
Oh, I don't know why. I hit a button and my microphone went unplugged. Anyway, how we doing, buddy?
Awesome, man. How are you today?
I am good. Just got back in town last night from an amazing trip with my lovely wife, and we had a new office admin start today, so that was pretty cool. She was able to, she started today, was making phone calls today, and rescheduled a job that hasn't rebooked in 2 years, and by the end of the day for $1,800. So that was pretty cool.
Nice. Well, that's a pretty impressive first day.
Yeah, I mean, she just paid for herself for the next few weeks. So, especially for a job that hasn't been booked in 2 years. So that's kind of her main goal right now, and so she's working out great. So happy for that. And teams are out rocking and rolling, doing some installs, and I think they have a $12,000 commercial install tomorrow. So it's been a good start to the month, and with tomorrow being October, and yeah, it's been rocking and rolling, baby.
Awesome, man. I can't believe tomorrow's October.
I know.
That's mind-blowing.
A little scary. I don't it's like we try and prepare for it all year, and then it just sneaks up on us, and we're like, what the hell happened?
Yep, 100%.
All right, I am sharing this to a couple groups right now to get some guys and ladies, because we want to add as much value to as many people as possible. We got another fun, exciting night tonight, talking about something new that we haven't talked about before. But as always, we're here for you. So if you have questions, we have answers. And the fun part about Jimmy and I is we don't always agree. It doesn't make us wrong or right. It just makes us different and what works for our business. So happy to answer any questions you have in regards to Christmas lighting, whether it's marketing, sales, team, installation. We're talking about crews today. What was it, Jimmy, you said we're talking about?
Production tips and crew organization was the category, if you will. But I think last time, I don't even think we got through half of what we were supposed to do last time. So we can, if we want to go back that way a little bit, we can. Totally up to you. I mean, we can do it. We can do whatever we want or wherever the conversation leads us. Last time we were doing the estimating and sales, and I think we really went down some rabbit trails, which were awesome rabbit trails. So totally good to go back there if we want to, or we can jump on to the crew production side of things. Obviously we can push that to next week too. So whatever you want to do, I'm down with.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening, this is for you. It's not for us. I mean, we can talk all day about whatever we want, but in the end, these are for you. So if you're joining us, go ahead and just drop a comment. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from, anything about you. We'd just love to know who's watching, listening, and paying attention. And at the end of this call, we're going to do a giveaway for a $50 gift card to Lights for Decorators. So you just have to be present and show up and comment, so we know you're here. So we'll figure that out, how we're going to do that drawing at the end, Jimmy. But we do have a couple questions already. We have Kaylin here. She's been probably the most consistent and loyal viewer. So Kaylin, welcome back. Good to have you here. First question from Nick. What did you grow your company to in terms of revenue?
Uh-oh.
Nick, that's kind of well, Jimmy likes to talk about this, kind of being, well, yeah, the top number doesn't matter. It's the bottom number that matters. But I mean, we're definitely both over, or at least that was at one point over 7 figures. But you could be a $2 million business and be broke at the end of the season. So it really just, Jimmy, I'll let you talk more about that because we know your passions in that.
Yeah. So, Nick, I'm not sure what Nick this is, but hopefully it's a Nick I know. But yeah, so I think, unfortunately, there is a lot of emphasis on top line revenue and what you can make and, amount of figures in 6 weeks. There's a lot of sayings and things out there that we hear a lot of. And I think that revenue is a misleading number. It's obviously a goal, an aspirational goal to hit a revenue number. But really the goal should be what's a profit number? If we want to hit $1 million worth of sales, I'm pretty sure we could figure out a way to sell $1 million worth of Christmas lights within the next week. But it's what we're going to make off that $1 million. So I think the reality of it is maybe let's look about what kind of revenue could we look at and could we generate with a 2-person crew or a 3-person crew, or maybe let's talk in terms of that. What's the ideal as far as revenue per man hour? Because revenue per man hour is going to back into, ultimately should be able to articulate that and figure out how that's going to overall affect your bottom line. So maybe let's start there, if that's all right. Where what kind of revenue should we generate per man hour? And I think an hour of production in the holiday lighting industry, I think you should be shooting anywhere from 110 to about $150 of revenue per man hour worked. And that's going to cover your labor, your burden, your overheads. What your overheads are probably going to be somewhere around 30% on average. If you're a pressure washing focused company, you're probably going to be somewhere in the high teens to low 20s. If you're more of a landscaping side of things, you're probably going to be in the mid 30s. If you're a lighting exclusive company, you're probably going to be somewhere also in the mid 30s. So I think if you really think about revenue per man hour, that would probably be my focus. And for every person that we were working, if you can generate somewhere about 100, like I said, $110 to $150 per man hour of production work, I think that's where you're going to yield some success. Because at the end of the day, that should yield you somewhere probably around anywhere from a 50 to a 60% margin, and that's a very healthy margin to be working from. So I don't like the word top line revenue. I don't like the goals of top line revenue. I want to hear profit goals, but revenue obviously is important to turn into that profit. That would be a great way of kind of spinning that revenue word.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to have goals, but have realistic goals for the right reasons that maintain profitability. Don't just shoot for $500,000 and you walk away with $10,000 in your bank account at the end of the season. So it's just really important to understand how much you're charging, what your cost is, how much you're paying out, and also don't forget to consider January takedowns when you have labor for that. I think it's where most people lose out on money is they sit there with Christmas money in their bank and they feel Christmas rich in December. And also in January, they got crews going out there just milking the clock hour after hour trying to take down lights. And now come February, they're like, where'd all that money go? So.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. There was a company that we've done a lot of work with over the past couple of years selling product to. It's done a lot of product to. And I just recently found out that they closed up in the last year. I had no idea. And I'm talking, this was a company that wasn't doing $1 million a year, $8 million a year. We're talking in the tune of 12 to 14 million a year in Christmas. And they are off the map. And wow. What does it tell you? Well, they were selling jobs to get the work, but they weren't selling profitable work. So there again, that top line number, who cares? Let's really focus on that profit, making sure we're selling jobs at profitable rates, and then they're going to be successful.
Yeah, I was talking to, I forget who I was talking to today. Talked to a lot of people lately, but they gave a quote to a lady, and it was probably a low quote already because they're just trying to get some work right now on the schedule. And they're like, well, somebody did for me for $250 last year. And he's like, well, why don't you go back to that company? She's like, they're out of business. It's like, well, no wonder why. $250 running install.
Brutal. But unfortunately, you hear about it all the time.
Every single year.
And I do want to be really careful. I was actually down at Ryan Lee's Secret Summit down in West Palm. When was that? Last week? Jeez, I don't even know what stuff is. And had some really cool dynamic conversations with a lot of people. And just be mindful of when we're talking about revenue per hour, it's not just the revenue per hour of putting it up. It's also the revenue per hour of taking it down. So just be mindful of that. It's you've got a cost of putting the product up. You've got your rental cost. Then you got your takedown cost, which takedown labor, and then you've got storage. So when you start really looking at those things, please don't hear me say that 110 to 150 includes product and it includes the storage. Those are different charges that need to really ideally be kind of costed outside of that. So if you're looking at that whole big picture, you're probably looking at somewhere generally, I would say closer to $225 to $300 of revenue per man hour when you're taking those things in. So just want to make sure I'm clear on that because I know that was some questions that came up at Ryan's incredible event down there.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. Looked like a lot of fun. All right, next question over here. Do you bonus for members out in field per the job?
Why not? I mean, if they're performing, I do love the idea of a performance-based pay plan. What I've been saying, which was another thing that came up that we discussed last week, was hourly pay rewards those that are lazy. Performance pay rewards the people that you want to keep around ultimately. So people are scared to get into performance pay mentality because, well, what if so-and-so leaves? Well, if so-and-so leaves, that just means they're leaving because they're just getting there. At some point, they're going to work themselves out of that job. So I think that I would absolutely not so much bonus. Bonus can be difficult because bonuses can start to become expectations. So really have your performance pay tied to some sort of other incentive, other KPI or performance things that's more consistent, geared towards. So I would absolutely consider a performance pay plan. But once again, that you're not going to pay a performance pay on the material or the storage cost. Those are things that you need to keep for your business. What you're going to pay a performance pay based on is your hours. So you're going to go into the job, you're going to have a production rate. Your production rate is going to say based on what you're doing. And production rates for Christmas lights can get really, really wild, right? I say for a stick of garland, 9 foot 5, 14 foot piece of garland, and a 14-inch piece of garland, I'm going to say you're going to have at least a half an hour by the time you shape it, install it. Somebody could go out there and do that in 10 minutes. So if you're going to have a performance pay plan, you're going to have a serious quality control on the back end of that to make sure your quality expectation is being met. Otherwise, you're going to speed rush through things. So production rates are going to give you your hours. Your hours are what you're going to hold your crew to. And then if they are able to overperform, that's where I think you actually come back in and you give them a slice of the pie. Sharing the winnings, and if there's some losses, sit down and understand where the losses were and why they occurred. And something I've been saying a ton lately is don't manage a person, manage a process. So if they're over hours, don't go back and say, why are you over hours? You go back and say, okay, well, based on the production rates, we have X amount of time budgeted. Where do you think that we didn't hit the mark, right? Saying the exact same thing, but the first way is very accusatory, and they're going to basically buck their chest out and be like, oh yeah, and you're never going to have anything constructive come out of that conversation. So really focus on managing the process, not manage the individual. And I think you're going to see a lot of success with that as well.
Yeah, something we're doing this season too is we're doing a production pay for or performance pay for install takedowns. And this is a question that Kaylin asks. It is a lot different for the install versus the takedown, the percentage wise. And we can talk about that more in a second. But also, we're leaving a small percentage out for a bonus that they would get at the end of the season in December. One, the criteria is you have to hit all the wickets that we ask you to do on each job, whether it's taking a picture, yard sign, door hangers, percent of callbacks. You have to stay through the whole season. If you don't stay through the whole season, you don't get that bonus. You automatically disqualify yourself for that bonus as well too. But the big thing is being super transparent and not having, but by the way, but you didn't do this. Like, it has to be very clean for everybody to understand, not only just for you as the owner, but for the team. So they're not sitting there questioning, like, is JC trying to screw me on this or not? So we have it so they can see what they would make if they just did hourly, and they can see what they would make if they did the performance pay. And the performance pay always comes out on top if they're not slacking and just taking their time. So there's always going to be a benefit to do that, but you really need to be very transparent with them so they don't think that you're trying to screw me over. That's the sad reality, is they think that you're trying to make more money off them by doing it this way. But in the end, they're going to make more money by working more efficiently and showing up and doing the things they need to the right way the first time. So it only benefits them to do the performance pay. But again, you need to be very transparent and show them both sides of it so they completely understand it. And you can't just go back and say, well, because of this, you don't get this. Like, it just needs to be black and white. Everybody understand it. So it's cut and dry at the end of the season or end of the month or end of the week, whenever you do the bonus or the performance payout, it's they get it. And it's not, well, you tried to screw me on this one this time. So just whatever you do, have it very well written out and make sure they understand the difference on why you're doing it.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. Douglas, hello.
I think I just saw Frankie Vargas just chimed in as well, and he said something about five. He wants to do a switch the crew over to commission based.
He must not like me. I don't see that.
Well, yeah. So just be careful with that. There again, he's saying 5 to 7.5% per job. What is that? 5.5. Why are you going to pay out a bonus off of storage costs? Those are your costs. Those are money that needs to be coming into you. I really wouldn't give a percentage of that. So if you're going to do that, I would take a higher percentage of your overall labor, because once again, that's what they can control. If you do a job, and Frank, you just bought a 20-foot tower tree, right? You just literally, or 18, whatever it was. So if you pay 5 to 7.5% on that tower tree job, if that's the only thing there, the bulk of that cost is that tree and that product. So that's where you would be really screwing yourself over. So I would really focus on paying that commission-based pay, performance-based pay solely on hours. I know it creates a little bit more work, but at the end of the day, as a business owner, if you're not managing your hours and giving hours and managing the hours and doing your estimated versus actuals, at the end of the day, what are you really managing? So it's just going to force you to manage things the right way and really own your numbers and get into the nitty-gritty of that. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Good question here from Kaylin. We'd love to learn more about setting up careers for success. Jimmy, what's that look like for you?
So fantastic question, actually. And I don't want to go down too far down a rabbit trail like I always do, but
let's do it.
This is where I think our industry of the Christmas lighting industry has been so devalued. It is so easy to go in there, string lights, screw a bulb in, put a clip on, and boom, 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 boom. Right? It's so simple now with LED. But this is, to me, what differentiates a really good company that's got a scalability and a company that's just doing it to collect a quick buck. And I think it starts with communication. What are we doing? And I always, so something that I've always done is called a QQTP. QQTP is quantity, quality, timeline, and paraphrase. Right? So you have to speak to them and give them such great quality and have systems and processes in place that's reproducible, that's scalable, that's going to leave a lot of that error judgment out. So simple things are, what are we doing? How are we doing it? Right? That's a QQTP situation. And how long should it take? So for instance, if you give a box of product and say, hey, go decorate this house, and really rudimentary sketch, that's better than nothing. But how many people are going out with nothing but some basic words? It says, do this or do that. Go put lights on this one particular tree. Okay, well, how many lights? Like, I want on this tree, I want to put 1,000 light bulbs, right? So if I'm using 50 count, that's 20 sets. If I'm using 70, whatever that is, right? So having really good clarity from a sales to production turnover, giving them maps, giving them linear footages, giving them hours is going to really ultimately set them up for success. And then I think there's a lot of things as far as, ideally, are we always powering left to right or right to left? And obviously that's not always doable, but have really simple systems of how you're clipping, the expectation of how do you want your bulb peaked? If you are going to peak your bulb, how are you going to mark that light? What type of clip are you using and why are you using it? What's the expectation of how you're going to run cords? How are you going to set your timers up? All those little things are going to add up so they don't have to think about it. It's just on autopilot. So for instance, timer 4:30 to 11 across the board, or whatever it is, 5 to 12, I don't care. But have something that's very standardized. Have something that says, okay, we're always going to use, this particular, I'm trying to think of an example. We're always going to go in and when we're running up a gutter to run our power, this is the process of how we're going to go to the gutter. We're never going to allow a zip wire or something to go up underneath the gutter. So that way, when we do our takedown, it's going to be a lot quicker to take it down. I could sit here and go on and on for hours, but yep. I think it really starts with the sales or production turnover, setting them up for success, and then just having good clarity and honestly, hold them accountable, going behind them and find the little things so that, it doesn't start here and get a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. Really make sure that you've got a good quality control program and that they're really committed to the overall appearance and workflow of that job.
Yeah, Jimmy, I love that. You said the production or sales to the team. That's so important and often underlooked because they just go sell the job, put a note in there, light front house, roof line, warm white. That's it. Wrap columns and put garland here. Okay, like you said, like how many? Like if you want to set your team up for success, every single team in our company goes out preloaded with enough inventory to probably do 3 days worth of work without having to come back to the shop. They have garland, they have wreaths, they have lights, they have minis, they have ground lights. Everything is on that vehicle ready to go so that if the job comes up, if they get done early, they can go out there and do a new install. It's there. So on every single invoice, we put everything on clipboards. I really like that method. They can see it, to take the clipboard. But on every single clipboard, it will say roof line, how many feet? Garland, how many pieces? Minis, how many minis? Spritzers, ground lights, how many feet? So they know exactly how much they need to go there. And let's say that the columns needed 12 minis, but really they need to use 15. Well, great. Now they can go back and say we used 15, not 12. So we were short 3. So that our sales team, i.e. whoever is out there doing it, knows, well, we underestimated that column by 3 minis, which might sound like a little, but over time that's going to add up real quick. So that they know that when they go and do the next house that has the same exact columns, well, I need to add 3 minis to those columns because I was short in the last one. Same thing for trees, bushes, ground lights. I mean, it's really kind of hard to mess up ground lights. It's a basic measurement of the ground. If you mess that one up, then you have bigger issues. But I mean, it's true. But going back and forth, like the install team needs to know what they're supposed to be doing, but also the sales team needs to go back and say, all right, I got this one right, or I even overbid this one too, because we want to be as accurate as possible. And the more accurate we are, the more competitive we are when we're competing against other companies out there. But that communication back and forth is so important. And it even goes as far as the sales guy selling a job that he's like, oh, this is easy. The guys can go do it. And then they get out there like, well, how the hell are we supposed to do this? And there's no idea. So that's why it's important also that your sales team has experience and goes out and does an install, gets on the ladder, gets on the go, gets on all these things. So they understand the difficulty when they're trying to sell these jobs. They're not like, well, that's just a level 1. They can do that easily. They don't really think about the steepness of the roof or can they reach that without a go or all these different things. And that'll come into play in the pricing. So it's important that not only your sales team gets out there and sees an install and gets on the roof and does these things, but even so, to go back to your admin team, it is equally as important for them to get out there because when they're talking to clients and talking about your services, they can really talk intelligently about how they're doing things, how they're custom cutting the lights, how they're wrapping everything, how they're going to keep all the lines clean and neat so you're not going to see wires everywhere, how the garland is really full and lit and it's not like a basic Walmart garland. So it's important that everybody gets the same training so they can understand the same, terminology, the concept of doing the install, not to make it light of the installers because I've seen people out there like, oh, the installers have the easiest job out there. They're saying lights. It's absolutely not the case because sometimes they're out there. I mean, they need to be safe doing it, but some of these jobs are just hard and it's really difficult. It takes a lot of time to figure out how to do it properly without somebody getting hurt. So, while we're doing this and talking about setting crews up for success, like having everything ready before our guys go out there, we always have warm white lights on the job, like warm white C9 roof line, ground lights ready to go. They don't always have multicolor on the job. They don't always have candy cane on the trucks and trailers because it's not something they need. But when we have a job that requires it, our warehouse manager already has that stuff pre-made and ready to go so that the guys aren't on the job sitting there trying to bulb everything and wasting valuable time to get that stuff to get on the roof, that they show up to the job and the stuff is already cut. They already have C9 shingle tabs ready to go. They already have with multicolor. They already have gutter clips ready to go. They already have ground lights ready to go. They already have garland that's with multicolor ready to go. So every single thing you can do, Kayla, to set your team up for success so that when they get to the job, they're installing, not thinking, building, creating, designing, all that stuff will make them more efficient and help your bottom line overall.
And don't be scared to share numbers. I don't understand this mindset of owners holding back all the numbers. Educate your team on the numbers and why your numbers are what they are. Start with time. Like, okay, what are we going to start with? What is our time that we're managing to? And explain to them why that's a time, right? Because if they don't know what you're expecting, how are they going to perform well or not perform at all? So just really start sharing the numbers. Employees love that stuff. When you're sharing that and engaging with them, and there again, if you're winning, share those wins with them, and if you're losing, sit them down and talk to them and say, hey, how can we be better next time? You know, what's that holdback, or what's holding us back from really being super successful? So don't hesitate giving those numbers out.
I never understood that, and I don't understand why guys keep that a secret. Like, our numbers are on everything. Like, nothing is hidden, because also the transparency of, like, you know, they're like, oh man, we made $10,000 today, but I only got paid $200. Like, that doesn't make sense. But it's so important, like Jimmy, like you said, like, you need to show them everything. Like, where's the storage cost, the insurance, the vehicles, all that stuff. It comes into play. It's not like Patriots making $1 million a day and you're making $20 a day. No, there's so much overhead that goes out to this stuff. That's why we charge what we charge, so we can be profitable and continue to pay you guys a great salary.
Yep, 100%.
All right, we talked about this a little while ago, though, but yes, a percent for the number for the install is definitely going to be higher than the takedown. I think ours is 70-25 for that number, and that 5% that's not in there is that bonus I talked about that they would get in December for staying around. So I don't know how you do yours, Jimmy. And that's not, there's more to that math, but of what we pay the guys, 70 goes to the install, 25 goes to the takedown.
Yeah, because there again, I mean, this goes back to ticket management. And me personally, I'm going to manage the installation ticket and a takedown ticket as two individual jobs with their own percentage of own bank of hours. And then that pay would be it would be a consistent percentage based off of that time. But a lot of people use anywhere from 60% of labor. So if they can put it up in 10 hours, it's going to come down in 40, 40%, 60% of that. So it'd be 4 hours. So up for 10, down for 4. It's much more efficient to take it down. So having some sort of thing, whether it's 70, 25, whatever it is, I think it comes down so quick. But there again, make it man hour based. How long does it take? And don't lose track of, kind of where I said I don't want to go down a rabbit trail with that initial question is the installation is the easy part. The takedown's really what sets you apart. And it's really easy to rush through takedowns and drop down 30 houses in a day. But then next year you go back to do those 30 houses, you're like, holy smokes, what the heck am I getting myself into?
Yeah.
You got soccer balls of mini lights about this big with 15 sets balled into one. It's like, come on, man, really? Yeah. So really, really setting an expectation. This is how long this should take, and here is why, and this is our expectation, and this is why our expectation is that. And once again, validating. When the material comes back, open up a box every now and then and look at what is the condition. Spritzers are the worst. How many times have you gone up to do an install the following year and all the spritzer plugs are ripped off, right? Yeah. Because they're just like yanking all those things, like, let's get out of here. It's cold. I'm miserable. I want to get back to the shop, right? And that gets worse on production pace. So be very careful if you're not having a set of criteria and quality assurance post job. Be very, very careful with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jimmy, we're about 30 minutes into this. This is week 4 of Jimmy and JC going live, talking about what you want to talk about, Christmas lights. I've been having fun jamming out with you, Jimmy, and every week it seems to get a little bit better and better. So if you're watching, you're listening, go ahead and just drop a comment so we know you're there. We're going to give a $50 gift card away in the next half hour at the end of the show to Lights for Decorators. But just want to know who's watching. If you have a question, any questions you want to talk about, it could be sales, it could be marketing, it could be what's cool, what's new, what's hot, what's coming out there, interior, exterior, you name it, we're here to talk about it. So I don't see, it's funny, Jimmy, you got people coming in yours, and I don't see it on the StreamYard, so I probably need to go back and find your posts so I can get them added to the group here.
Don't ask me, I have no idea.
Yeah, I know, that's why I'm not.
This stuff is way over my head.
Yeah, you got a bunch more questions that I can't bring up on the screen right now. Let me see here. You've got Matthew Baker, Jimmy giving West Palm, not only great advice. All right. How do you put 12-inch wreaths in a van with garland? Or put 12 wreaths in a van with garland. All right. So Blaine asked, how do you put 12 wreaths in a van with garland? I mean, we have a ProMaster high roof, 2,500, so it's pretty tall, pretty long. We have guy wire that we actually just put across the top in 2 sections. So you can literally suspend, I don't know, 6 to 7 pieces per wire hanging down. We pre-fluff all our garland and our greenery prior to going out. So it's pretty easy for it to hang up there. And then the garland or the greenery, the wreaths, I think we probably have 4 to 5 wreaths in there. Maybe might not be 20. It just really depends on the day. But most important is setting the guys out for success. And as much as you can pre-fluff prior to the install, it will have a huge effect on your efficiency of the install time. So that's why we love our warehouse manager. The middle of October all the way through November, that's all they're doing. We usually bring 2 people in, and that's all they do all day long is pre-fluff garland and wreaths. And it's a very tedious job. I think we got it down to about 6 minutes per piece of garland, which sounds like a lot, but garland is very tedious. And I've seen some shitty garland put up, like literally taken out of a box, slapped on a wall, and call it good. And that's just not how we roll. So that's what we're doing.
And it is a really good question, though, because, I mean, I know he kind of tongue-in-cheek with that question, but it's something you absolutely got to think about. You know, if you're going to get in a heavy push of foliage, it does take up a lot of space, not only in the van for transportation, so how are we going to get from point A to point B, but also the storage, right? If you're in Florida, the cost of storage is outrageous, right? If you're in these really, really densely populated areas, that is something you've absolutely got to consider. Storage costs you money. Do not take that for granted. And, you know, if it's me and if I'm renting a 10 by 20 storage area, you know, I have no idea what a 10 by 20 storage area costs, but let's just say $500 a month, right? How many pieces of garland could you hang or get in that 10 by 20 storage area? Well, then at that point, every piece of garland, say you get 100 pieces of garland, which obviously you could get a lot more than that. Well, then that's $5 a piece of garland that needs to be rolled back into your cost of doing that job. So don't lose track of how much it costs to store and transport stuff. I mean, it is a really good question because it's kind of one of those hidden things that sneaks up on you, right? It's kind of like a overhead expense. You just got to do it to be in this business, but you got to do it, but you got to be smart about it and prepare yourself so that you're not selling yourself short because space costs money for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of greenery, might as well stay on this while it's right here. We used to put it in Gaylord boxes, but again, at the end of the season or the beginning of the season, it's just squished down there, and it's taking more time for our guys to fluff it. So we switched over. We have everything in a 40-foot container, and literally the 40-foot container stacked with guy wires going across every 18 inches, I think it is. Maybe it's almost 2 feet. And I forget the quantity going across, but there's probably 300 or 400 pieces in that 40-foot container just hanging. It just makes it real easier for the guys to take off in the beginning of the season, i.e. now, in the next 2 weeks, and start fluffing it out rather than pulling out of a box with 30, 40 pieces in there, jam-packed as flat as can be, and spending more time fluffing it. So you
separate all yours too, right? One stick, one piece. You don't leave them connected or anything like that?
Correct. Yeah, everything. Yeah. We use the same garland for everything. We don't separate it by name, by customer. Now, we do have a box. I'll go back to that, actually. CJ, we do have a box that we do put our like multicolor candy cane or anything funky in that box. We'll put in there because it's not as much and it's just easier to separate that completely. But everything else that's all warm white is just separated single strand. When it goes on a house, it doesn't matter if it was on one house 1 year, another house next year. It's all the same products for the same company with the same light. So,
question. I think I've asked you this before. What do you do to vent that? Because obviously garland is PVC and extreme heat. It can do some funky things. Do you have any sort of airflow through that or anything? Venting?
We have not had any issues. I thought we were. And I thought we were going to have to, but it's been 3 years now in there, and we have 2 40-foot containers, and we have not had zero issues at all. And very surprised because like people told us we would have issues, and I don't know if it's the specific container we got. I don't think so. It's not shaded, but we have had zero issues in both the 40-foot container just for garland and the 40-foot container for all our totes.
I mean, it's got to get really really, really hot. But I mean, I've seen it, but it's far and few between.
Yeah.
I do think that one JC kind of just nonchalantly said it, but he's got one piece of garland. He sticks to it. It's consistent. It's reliable. We offer 5 different types of garland. I have no idea why, but we do. And we sell a lot of all of it. But stick to your bread and butter. Don't try to offer all 5 pieces of garland.
Yeah.
Right? Have your good one, stick with it, roll with it. At that point, the cost savings to, I got a cheap job over here, so I need cheap garland. It's just going to make things a lot more complicated for you in the future. So just have a standard piece of garland. Now, I will tell you, a 9x14 garland and another 9x14 garland that are both Oregon that look the same, zero chance. You get what you pay for when it comes to garland, and it's all about the thickness of the PVC. We do have what I would consider a cheaper line, but if you honestly ask me what I buy it, I would say absolutely not. But we got to have a product for everybody. But if you feel it and it's spiny and it's prickly and it's pokey, that's good. That's good thick PVC. If you take it out of a box, it looks like an elephant's been sitting on it for the last 24 hours, and it doesn't really ever take its shape back. Well, you got a pretty lousy piece of product there. So really making sure you understand the density of PVC and that not all pieces are created equal. That's another reason why JC said, they can get it down to 6 minutes. He's buying a very thick PVC garland, right? He's paying a premium for that product. But that really can slow down or speed up what can typically really slow people down when it comes to shaping foliage and garland and things of that nature. So really being understanding and educating yourself on that is hugely important.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kenny's got a question. What school design are you leaving zip wire in the tree? Jimmy might argue with me on this one, but that's fine. That's why I love these conversations. And if so, are you leaving it down the side of the tree all the way to the ground during takedown or stowing it up in the tree? Yeah, we do leave it in the branches if we know the client's coming back next year, because the way we do wrap it around the branches, it just makes for an easy takedown, just yanking down the mini and leaving it up there. And the guys are supposed to at least take the wire that's going down the trunk and put it back up there, so it's an easy grab down when they go back and do the reinstall. But we do ask our clients prior to just leaving it there, do you plan on using the lights next year? If so, yes. Can we just leave these lights in here? We do wrap it loose so that the tree grows. It's not wrapping into the branch and choking the branch out. And then as we need to, we'll rewrap it. But it just makes for an extremely fast, efficient install year 2, 3 to be able to go in there, get a lift up there, and if you need a lift, and throw those minis to make the whimsicals work.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it. As long as you're not restricting the growth of the tree and having something crazy or some sort of liability, I think if they're cool with it, by all means, let it rip. I did have a good question pop up over here, and it was talk about commercial clients and their insurance expectations. I've actually been getting that very similar question a lot. And insurance in general for the holiday lighting industry. So that was from Harold. So thanks, Harold. Insurance in general is kind of tricky when it comes to Christmas lighting, especially throughout the country. There is no classification code for Christmas lights. So some people are gutter guys, some are painters, some are handymen, and everything in between. But typically what you're going to need to have is a good GL, general liability with typically $1 million is what they're going to have. Some places might require you to get an additional umbrella of $1 million, which that's super cheap. I think an umbrella $1 million policy is under $1,000 still to add that onto your policy. And then, of course, workman's comp. And that's going to be the same, $1 million per incident is typically what's going to be required. But 100%, if you have insurance, it doesn't matter if you have, there's no classification for Christmas lights. Your insurance company, whether you're a power washer, a landscaper, a pest control company, whatever you are, you're going to have coverage no matter what. They cannot not cover you. They can pull your coverage after there's an incident, but you're going to be covered no matter what. So if you are insured through your existing business, absolutely have that included within your presentation. Like slide number 1 of your presentation deck, yes, we are insured, because there are so many people out there that are trying to sell Christmas lights. They're shooting from the hip. They're not insured. They're just literally out there making a quick buck, and having that in your package is really huge. And I think aside from that, there's really no unrealistic expectations other than that umbrella from time to time that you may need, depending on what you're doing. But that's really about my 50 cents on that. I don't know, JC, if you've had any other experience with that.
No, I mean, I've heard people like, why would you include the CY with your estimate? Why wouldn't you include it? Like, I mean, the customer's not going to hang lights so they can go sue you. That's not the purpose of why they're trying to use your services. But they want to work with the company that's the most, professional, that has everything. And, you do, again, need to go get lighting insurance. I have a great recommendation for anybody that's in Florida, South Carolina, and North Carolina that we've been using for years. I don't want to just blast her name on here. So if you want to message me, I'll send you her direct phone number. And she has been absolutely incredible, does not work on commission. I've been working with her for 7 years now. And she's just absolutely always fighting for us to get the best rates possible. Always just been a great asset to our company for both the washing and light. So if you would like your information, just go ahead and ping me. Don't just comment, because I'm not going to go find it. But send me a message and I'll get you information and see if she can get you a quote for you in this area. But I think she started with us in lights 7 years ago and had to fight. And then finally she got a company to do it. So now she has all the ins and outs of exactly what's needed and all the stuff. But also, don't forget to put insurance on your inventory, because if anything ever happens to your shop and you lease out the lights and those lights are sitting in your shop in July and the shop burns down. I've seen this. I know a guy who his entire shop burned down and he had no insurance on his inventory. And he was out. I mean, he lost everything. So make sure you put insurance on your inventory so that, God forbid, something does happen, it's covered as well too.
Yeah, and it's called contents. Sometimes people think that they've got insurance on what's in their building, and a lot of times what it's talking about is like furniture, computers, TVs, components like that. When it comes to merchandise like that, if it's not listed on the policy, they will not cover it as content. So typically that's an additional rider on that where you're going to have to come up with a valuation of what that is. So, so just be mindful of that. There again, you're going to see people that aren't going to allow you to do anything if you don't have insurance. Some people, it's going to be a prerequisite before they even talk to you. So just have that able to be found and just be able to send them a quick copy of that is huge. So that is a really good question on the insurance. And I think something that can set you apart. Another thing that has not popped up here yet, but did pop up last week when we were doing an Omni training down in Marco, was sales tax and charging sales tax. Make sure you guys are locked in on this. This is just lighting in general, not holiday lighting that's temporary, but holiday lighting, because it's definitely not a fixed product. Everything should be taxed 100%. Omni lighting, even in the state of Florida, is supposed to be taxed materials and labor. So make sure you guys are knowing. There's a lot of people in Florida that have been getting some nice letters and some big fat bills. Florida's definitely going after it. Obviously, it's a income tax free state, so they're going to get their money one way or the other. So just be really mindful of that and making sure you're understanding if you need to be charging self-tax on materials, labor, or both.
All right. I got another question here from Fred. Can you go through efficient methods on installation process, some tips on how to run installation process to be more efficient, faster? I don't know if you heard what we talked about a little while ago, Fred. We did talk about some good stuff, but making sure your crews are completely prepared for the job for the entire day, making sure they have proper inventory on their estimate sheets or the invoices. They know exactly what they're doing, how many feet of lights they're putting up, how many strands of minis they're putting up, how many strands of garland they're putting up, everything that they can have to be showing up to the job, to just be working by installing and not sitting there trying to figure the job out, find out where the outlet is to plug the timer in. Make sure your sales team is doing proper documentation in their notes. We like to use Company Cam. We do all the renderings in Holiday Home Concepts and or company cam, so that when the crew shows up to the job, they open up company cam. It shows them exactly what they're doing, exactly how high on the tree they're putting their minis, so they know exactly where to put that, where the wreath is going, where the ground lights are going, where the spritzers are going, everything they can do to make them more prepared to show up, so that when they're there, they're not thinking, they're just looking at the invoice, looking at company cam, and they're installing.
Yeah, I mean, I think project there again, clarity. What are we doing? Where are we doing it is the number one, right? Expectations of how you're running cords is probably really high up there for me as well, right? The cleanliness of the cords can make or break it, how something from an aesthetic standpoint. So I would just make sure you have the right tools to be able to conceal your cords and hide your cords. Another huge one is obviously dealing with water and GFCI trips. So what is your process of, for me, never wanted an extension cord that was connected to each other sitting on the ground. Always wanted it elevated. That's just going to help it potentially drain a little bit better. I was not a big electrical tape fan. I felt like tape trapped more water in than it did from preventing it from actually getting in. Making sure there's a screw or something on the home so your timer is set vertically, it doesn't flop down and water goes inside the bottom of that outlet. Obviously setting your guys up for success with having the right tools, the right letters, the standoffs, so that they're doing things safely with the right tools. And when we do our holiday light training, I have a picture of a guy that I literally saw. This was probably 7-8 years ago now. He had two 32-foot ladders, and he actually made it one 40-something foot ladder, and he took another connection and basically had these things tied together to get to this top peak on the side of a home. And it was mind-blowing. So make sure they have the right tools to do the job. Same thing can be said if they're penetrating. How are we going to mount masonry? Well, one, never go in the brick, never go in the stone, only in the mortar, right? What are we doing in siding? How are we going in siding? Do we using eye bolts? What are we going to use? If there's a stucco house, what precautions are we going to do? If it's, the fake stucco versus the real stucco, how are we going to handle that? I'm trying to go through. Always try to have a standard. Like I said before, always go from left to right or right to left. Try to have a standard so that you don't wind up having two males come together. Do as much of assembly and prep work on the ground as possible. I love working with a power hot.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely have to.
Because buy one of those little cheap Amazon timers that you can put on a keychain, hook it to your belt loop, in case you have to cut a wire. But when you get done with an installation and you look up to look at it, sun's lit, you might have one bulb that just worked itself loose and you can't tell. And then that very first night that customer called and said, "Hey, there's a bulb already out of my house," right? What a horrible letdown. And then they're thinking, "Oh my God, these guys are using crap product. What's going on?" Pre-bulbing is another one. Put your bulb, put your clip, take a big old 40-gallon trash can, put a safety cone in it, string it around it. So when you get to the job site, you're not sitting on someone's front yard screwing in bulbs. Do that on the rain day or while you're watching Monday Night Football or something. So set your crew up for success there. So I think those are the couple of things that come to mind. I'm sure I'm missing some things there, but those are the things that I would definitely recommend and creating clarity for the crew.
Good question. We just talked about this. Humidity, no, CJ, it does not. Like I said, it has not for us. I'm not saying that it won't or it can't. It's just for us, it has not been an issue.
So Scott asked, any good resources we can share for estimating pricing or processes? I don't know, JC, if you can see these yet. Yeah, so Scott, we do have a holiday lighting estimating tool that we are more than happy to share with you. If you email CS, which stands for Contractor Support, at lightsfordecorators.com, and just mention that you're interested in the holiday lighting calculator, that gives you production rates. It will also help you if you're measuring, a hedgerow of shrubs. You take the linear footage of it, you tell you what spacing you want. It's going to tell you exactly how many sets of 50s or 70s you're going to need, going up columns, going up trees. It'll do all that. So it's a great resource. We'll give that out to you for free. It's just going to cost you a $10,000 order. No, but so it's a really good tool. It does the lease versus sales model. So if you're kind of curious on that, what should I be doing? Calculates your labor costs, shows you what your profit should be, because that's what we care about most. So if you're interested in that, definitely reach out to our team, and we can absolutely get that in your hands. And then, that's pretty much going to do everything for you from production rates all the way down to material takeoffs all the way down. So it's pretty sweet.
All right. What does your office setup look like? What do you have them handle? And do you have any sort of bonuses or KPIs to keep track of? I do not have a good system for that, Jimmy, for KPIs and bonuses. I know I need to, but I don't. But right now, for us, the way we operate, I know some people have their sales guys try and reschedule some jobs. That is all handled in-house. Every year, we want our sales team to focus on new installs. If we need them to come in because they had a good relationship with a client, then we'll have the sales team. But for now, it's literally just rescheduling jobs, communication with current clients, past clients, and keeping the crews updated on everything. And there's a lot more to that, but that's the most of what they're doing right now. Is just getting the calendar booked and making sure that there's no gaps. Like Friday, right? Excuse me. Right now we have a gap. There's only one crew busy. We have two crews. Like that's not going to happen. So tomorrow they'll be calling next week to move a job from next week to Friday, so that there's no gap on Friday. We can't leave that open and make it back up. Like there's no making days back up. It's a loss. So we don't want to lose revenue when we can keep the guys busy doing about $5,000 a day right now. So we'll pull, even if I got to give a small discount to somebody next week or the week after to pull them forward, I'll have time to fill that gap in later on.
Yeah, KPIs. I'll definitely beat JC upside the head next time I see him for not having them yet, because he's only listened to me preach these for like the past year and a half straight. So I guess I'm not preaching loud enough. So I'll get a real loudspeaker and blow your eardrums out. KPIs are where it's at. KPIs is where you're going to scale your business. KPIs are where you're tracking the details. And some people are like, well, KPIs, that's micromanaging. Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, you do have to micromanage your numbers. You're not micromanaging the people. You're managing the numbers to make sure that your people are going to be able to continue to have a job and get paid from you. So to me, that's healthy micromanaging. But numbers, cost per acquisition, right off the rip. What is it costing me to generate a sale? I know we're kind of supposed to be talking about performance, but that's a big KPI for me. What are we spending? What's it yielding? Estimated man hours, estimated materials versus actual man hours, actual materials is obviously another huge. How are we overall? How are we performing? Are we profitable? Are we selling jobs to break even? Are we selling jobs to be profitable? Revenue per hour. We talked about that already a little bit earlier. What kind of revenue am I generating per hour? What do I have to generate per man hour in order to make sure I'm overcoming my what I call your burn, your overheads. So I think obviously those are huge. Tracking your overhead in and of itself is huge. So how do we mitigate that? Tracking your cost, your indirect costs can really get out of hand in a hurry. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of people waste a lot of money on bad marketing companies. So if you need a good marketing company, we definitely partner with several that can really help out and really do a good job for you. We've seen them do a good job. Unfortunately, we see a lot of people that just just continue to blow money away on these marketing people that aren't doing much besides putting in Chat GPT and letting it rip. So I think those are some of probably the biggest ones that I would focus on and dial in first. But I think there's probably a good solid 7 to 8 of them that every business owner should be doing on a regular basis to really ensure that they're making money and being successful. And don't lose track of your accounts receivable, right? That's something that a lot of people just take for granted, and it's just money sitting out there. Go get that money. Don't let it come to you. Christmas lights can be difficult to get paid, and get your deposit money, take your deposit, be very strict with your payment plan, because if you come and take lights down and times are rough, you don't have any recourse. You're pretty much screwed at that point. So make sure you're taking care of yourself as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a no brainer. I know a buddy or know a guy down in Florida, and I swear he'll be in March and still have $50,000 owed to him. And I'm like, what are you doing? Do you even look at what you're doing? We have a 72-hour policy for residential. Like, if we let you pay the day of, we give you 72 hours from the day of, and we give them that option because we can just go charge it because we have everybody's credit card on file. So I can go charge it the day of, but we send out an invoice because there is a tip option on there, and we like for our crews to get tips to get an extra little Christmas bonus. We don't ask for it. We don't say we would love for you to tip our crews, but it is on there. So if they want the option to tip, they can tip. And if they don't pay within 72 hours, then we just say, all right, we're charging your card today for the total. And we've never had an issue. Commercial, sometimes those can take up to 30 days depending on the client. But yeah, if you're not collecting deposits and securing a credit card on file to make sure that you're getting paid within a day or two, or whatever it is, whatever your policy is, you're doing it wrong.
So Rich is dropping dimes left and right over here. So I'm going to just kind of go through and summarize some of those things he said.
I can't see it to drop it up here, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, I definitely can't help you there, but I can see what's popping up on this side. So Rich said, going back to the insurance thing, he said one caveat that what he's learned over the last decade, mainline carriers are not going to cover holiday lighting, State Farm, Liberty. So if you have an existing home service business and you try to do lighting against their underwriting policy and you have a loss event, they will deny the claim and you'll end up in court. I've been hired by attorneys in these sort of cases to find negligence or at fault. I'll be honest, that's the first I've heard of that. So that is really interesting. So it sounds like what he's saying there is that some carriers have an underwriting policy that you're maybe not allowed to be doing any lighting, temporary lighting. So definitely something to be aware of. So that was interesting. And they also said active time versus idle time is a huge KPI, and I cannot disagree with that. We call those billable hours versus lost hours, and you'd be blown away how many productive hours you have in a day, productive billable hours versus dashboard time, driving around time, shop time, load up time, prep time. Blow you away that you will have days that are less productive based on routing, efficiency of routing, scheduling. So great point there to add, and I could not agree with that more.
And that's one reason why I think if you have 2 or more crews, and that number could be 3 or more crews, however you want to look at it, and don't have a warehouse manager, you're losing money just by the guys coming up to work and trying to figure out what they're doing for the day, trying to get stuff prepped. I remember at one point, I think we had three crews, and that was 3 to 4 guys per crew back then. And that was, 12 guys standing around in the morning with their thumb up their ass trying to figure out what jobs they're taking, what jobs went on what trucks. Then they put the jobs in the wrong trucks. Then they show up to the jobs without the right inventory. And you put that 12 times 15, 30 minutes at the shop. That's 6 hours, up to 6 hours of, just wasted time sitting there. So managing your people or having somebody manage it for them, having one person do everything. So we have the warehouse manager. He comes in an hour and a half to 2 hours early during the season, prior to the guys showing up, has everything ready, loaded, inventory done, all the jobs loaded, the vehicles fueled, so that when they get there, it's no more than 15 minutes and they're out the door, ready to go. Just double checking the inventory, double checking the invoices, making sure they have everything because it's one person, they can't make mistakes. But that one person is 1 hour of time, or one person of labor hour versus 12 people. So as you grow and get more crews, make sure you manage those crews efficiently with the right people.
Yeah, and if it's me, and you don't have that shop manager, the trucks should 100% be prepped the night before. And that's an expectation. Crew comes back, they load their stuff the following day. They know what they were running out of. They know they need more slide plugs or zip wire, bulbs, clips, whatever it is. They 100% load that the night before. They set their tomorrow up for success. And because guess what? If they're loading up at the end of the day, they want to get their tails home. And the load up process is fast. They load up in the morning, it's dilly-dally. They're still tired. They're still, working on whatever their morning slump is. So they show up at the job, is jump in the truck and they hit the gate and get out of there. Like, let's go make some money and have a productive day. So definitely, if you don't have that shop manager, planning your tomorrow's success starts the night before, hands down. And the other thing that I love about that, if you can, I would review the schedule with the crew so they can come and mentally prepare for what that next day looks like, right? If it's a massive commercial job or a beastly residential job, doing that would be huge. Just understanding, okay, we're going to go bang this thing out tomorrow, and they come in thinking it's going to be a cakewalk day and it ends up being a nightmare of a day. That really, really helps out a lot. So, so getting them psychologically ramped up for that next day's big.
All right, I think this might be the longest question by Joe, so it might take a minute to read this. And actually, it's so long it can't even fit on the thing. Maybe it's just ended right there. Jimmy, I don't know if you guys do ridge lines and funny things like that. We strictly stick to just front roof lines, sides, anything like that. We're not getting on roofs and doing. We have one job that I do a peak on with Linetics, and one commercial job we do the entire building for a commercial building, like a gingerbread. But other than that, we do not offer that for anybody. And it's just our policy. We don't like to do it. We've been very successful without doing it. I don't know how you want to answer this, Jimmy. For us, it's just our company policy not to offer it. And I don't care who you are. It's just not something we bend the rules for. And for the main reason, I'd been on roofs, especially in Raleigh, and regretted being up there, scared for my life. Even with any safety equipment, sometimes it's impossible to have safety equipment to hold you other than a pitch hopper because of the way it's shaped or peaked down. So I don't know how you want to answer this one.
People want it, do it, and charge them for it. Bottom line, charge a premium. It's not a per foot situation, right? A lot of liability, a lot of safety. Might mess up some shingles here or there. And I'll tell you, a good ridge clip doesn't just fall off easily. You pretty much got to go up there and pull those things off one by one. So it's not like a tough clip along the front of the house. You just go and they all drop down, right? But at the end of the day, I would say I would offer it if they ask, but I wouldn't make it a go-to. And if I am going to do it, just explain, hey, it's pricey because it's unsafe, and we got to make sure our team's being safe and taking their time and not rushing through it. So it's costly. But I do think that there is a ton of liability in ridge lines. And I think with liability, you have to make a decision. And I don't fault JC one bit for having that as a policy. But if someone wants it that bad enough, well, if they're willing to pay for it and they're willing to dump it out, then you can absolutely make it happen. So, but just take your time doing it, have the right safety tools if you're going to do it. But like I said, if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it, period.
All right, in the next 5 minutes.
Rich just said ridge lines are lawsuits in the waiting. And he's not wrong. So,
yeah. If you have not commented, I've tried to get everybody on Jimmy's page, and that's coming on mine. So if you do not see your name on here, just go ahead and comment real fast so I can add your name. In about 5 minutes, we're going to go ahead and just do the drawing for the $50 gift card to Lights for Decorators. We have a couple more questions before we get to that. Another question from Kaylin: how long or amount of installs does it take to get a crew up to speed? I think it really comes down to your training and how intense it is. I know companies that just do a day training and call it a day and just say, go get it and good luck. We do 3 to 4 days of training really before we feel comfortable for our guys to be out there. And that's doing the install, doing the takedown, and even doing multiple columns and trees, which take the most time for us. So it's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, repeatedly until they feel comfortable, till we feel comfortable that they're going to be out there being efficient. So I don't think there's a right answer for that or a wrong one. Well, I know there's a wrong one. If you're doing a day, that's not good enough. But repeated up, down, install and takedown for a variety of reasons. But they need to know why they're installing it, and they understand why they install it, so that when they take the lights down, that it was the right way to install it and not a stupid idea that they're going to come up with at 4 p.m. at night because they're tired and just want to make shortcuts and then figure it out later. So, as much time as you can invest in their training in the beginning will make them way more efficient once they're out there and have fewer callbacks.
Yeah, and I think you kind of nailed that. It's not just about the installation before they're really up to speed. I think it's a full season. I really do. I think a really good crew lead takes a full season of put up and take down before they're really a seasoned vet. Doesn't mean that they're not good, but it really means that they can see the big picture and see the oh crap moments or the I wish I woulda, shoulda, coulda moments. Um, there again, I think there again, that's the difference between a really good company and somebody that's doing a fly by night is because they can see that, forecast that, and be very proactive. I did have another question. Jared asked, when you pre-bulb, are you making strands at certain lengths or based on the estimate? When you pre-bulb, you're pre-bulbing the full 1,000-foot spool, 500-foot spool, whatever you're buying, and you're pulling and cutting it as you go. So no, you're not pre-cutting at all. I do know there's a couple people out there that go through and they cut in 50s. So and they do all their job was 50s, 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 50s.
So weird. That makes no sense. No offense. It just makes no sense why you would do that. You're wasting time. You're wasting money. Just bulb everything. I know guys doing 25, Jimmy. Like, I don't get it. Like, why? Just bulb them all, cut them, and then, just go on to the next peak, the next line, whatever, next color line. Like, just don't cut yourself short to have to add an additional male-female plug or whatever, any plug. Like, just make straight runs.
Yep. I agree. I when I've had those conversations, I can't necessarily disagree with them, but because it's so reproducible. But my whole thing is well, if you're really worried about that account not hiring you again next year, then maybe focus on customer service and the experience that you're providing. And Christmas lights kind of once you get a customer,
whether it's 50
forever
or 55 feet or 45 feet, like I'm still able to reuse those lights. It doesn't matter what length it is. I can still reuse it at some point. But to sit there and go ahead and not only count 50 bulbs, then cut it, and then know that you need a 75-foot run, but now you got to add a plug in between there because you want to cut 50-foot, which still doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, no, my answer is you bulb until you fill the bucket. We use totes. Jimmy used garbage pails. Fill it up, cut it, go on to the next one. That's it.
Yep, 100%.
Jamie coming in with a funny comment. If they don't pay, we're just switching their lights, and they want pink lights because they don't want to pay. Then they're gonna get pink lights. So that's why it's 4.5.
That's the financing. That's the Omni financing self-finance program. You don't pay, your lights go obnoxious until they.
Yeah, we're gonna put strobe lights on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't have access. You have to pay your bill.
2 a.m. and strobe effect.
Yeah.
All right, last comment that I see. Jeff went out and did an Omni and did not strike a win there. So it's all right, Jeff. You know what? It may not be today, but the next one right around the corner is waiting for you. So, and it might have been a no today, but they might come back later and say, we're ready for you. So we'll get them. We'll get them.
Jeff called me because I know we talked about that earlier today. So I want to hear what happened with that. But you know what? It's the one thing I would say with Omni, right? The confidence of having that first system under your belt is huge. 1, 2, 3, whatever it is huge. So the more you get confident, the easier those sales come. I mean, Ryan Lee went out yesterday down in Florida and sold an Omni job on the spot, which was absolutely hilarious. But to me, it's how do you deal with the objections and rehearsing those objections in your mind to the point where it's not the first time you heard that objection. And I think, ultimately that's what can differentiate you from a yes and a no is how do you deal with that objection? And I think rehearsing that, working through that, understanding that is big. So, and obviously pre-qualifying, make sure you're pre-qualifying your customer. If they are not a right candidate, which I saw the house, I think you had the right conversations. I think you actually overshot the price on the preliminary. So, if they're hearing you out, I don't think you had a pre-qualification issue there. So definitely want to hear a little bit more. But don't be discouraged. Keep driving. Keep grinding, and those things will come. And once you get that one done, it's 1 turns into 2, 2 turns into 4, 4 turns into 8. And next thing you know, you got an arsenal of them. So keep grinding.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Kayla said, no equals next opportunity.
I've never heard
Love it,
that
Jimmy.
before.
No, I haven't either. I like that. So I appreciate that comment there. All right, Jimmy. Well, we knocked it out in a little over an hour today. Hopefully we got a ton of value from everybody who was able to listen. And remember, folks, if you're listening, just because Jimmy and I say it doesn't make it the right answer or the only answer. It's just our answer. In reality, we're here just to provide some value for everybody and hope everybody wins this year in Christmas lights and permanent lights next throughout the year. We're just here to show up and answer questions. So if you have questions every Tuesday at 6:30, as long as Jimmy is in the right time zone, we're going to be here. And we just want to have fun with this. And, Jimmy and I have some really good conversations. Again, we don't always agree on everything. And that's awesome because it doesn't make my answer right or his answer wrong. It just makes our answers what works for our company. In the end, we want the best interest for you and your business. We want everybody to be safe and profitable at the end of the season. And, still have a business in January when you take those lights down. So we do have the wheel spin of death over here. I hope I got everybody. I tried jumping back and forth into Jimmy's page. Jimmy, I still don't know how you were able to get people coming to your page and I can't see it. You are a ninja when it comes to Facebook. But I'm going to spin this wheel. They'll get a $50 gift card to Lights for Decorators to spend on whatever they want. Just make sure you send it to me because I need some lights right now. I'm just kidding. You guys spend on whatever you want for you. All right, here we go. Let's do this. If you're not on here, I do apologize. I tried to get everybody and I asked if you wanted to be on here. And the winner looks like Randy. I do not know Randy's last name. Jimmy, maybe you do. Let me see if I can find a Randy.
Randy Bunch.
Randy Bunch. All right. Randy, make sure you reach out to Jimmy to collect your $50 gift card to Lights for Decorators. Congratulations to you for showing up. And to everybody else, I appreciate you. Jimmy, this has been fun, man. I really do love everything that you do for everybody in the community, all the love, supports, and everything you give back for everybody, making sure that they're profitable. So you got any closing words?
No, man, right back at you. It's fun. It's great industry, great people. Obviously been at a ton of events over the past couple of weeks. And I got another one Friday this week in Raleigh. I think it's booked up. And then we go to Montana next week. But you know what? Just keep grinding out there, everybody. It's an amazing industry. Numbers are looking great. Sales are on fire right now. I cannot believe how much stuff is hitting right now. So pedal to the metal, get that marketing teed off, ready to rock and roll, and let's all get ready to go out there and slay it and have a great season. And we'll talk at everybody next Tuesday, if not before.
Yeah, so be sure to show up next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. We'll be here, same time, same place, same bad jokes for me. Look forward to seeing everybody, and we'll talk to you then.